Ah, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the JMA podcast. I am your host, John Murray. Today we have a special guest, another one from Paducah, Kentucky. He is a black belt out of Apex Combat Jiu-Jitsu. But before we get started and all that, we are excited to announce a series of upcoming events from across the United States. We have Hammer Challenge Series in Schwenksville, Pennsylvania on October 25th, Wrestling Wars in Chicago, Illinois on November 1st, Relief Fighting Promotions in Albany, New York on November 15th, Rival FC and Paducah on 11th. Jeez, my teleprompter went a little too fast there. We have the Rival FC coming up in Paducah on November 22nd, a Gogi Fight League in Goodlettsville, Tennessee on December 6th, and Donnie Brooks Fight Promotion on Barry, Vermont on December 6th. Make sure you like this episode and subscribe to or follow Jmurrayathletics from wherever you're watching today. Thank you, and without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Austin Beyer of Apex of Combat Institute. He is...
Hey, what's up, John?
How you doing, my friend? And
Good.
I seem to have messed this up. I'm reading from the teleprompter for the first time, and I forgot to introduce our co-host. I think that's kind of important.
Maybe a little bit.
Jeremy, come on, join us.
Hi. Heck yeah. I'm still included. I thought I got fired live on just a live TV. I was like, oh boyo, here we go.
I will just make one quick correction real quick because I know the teleprompter was messing with you. I'm not a black belt. I'm just a brown belt. I don't want the locals here to start thinking that I'm overshooting or anything.
I actually didn't type that. That was a complete fuck up on.
It's all good. It's all good. Just trying to keep myself honest.
Oh no, much appreciated. So Apex Combat. This is a new scene in Paducah, I believe. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will have on October 27th will be our 1 year of officially being open.
Oh wow, big year, big celebration coming ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna do it around the time of the anniversary. There's another gym here in town that has like a little like seminar get together thing for their association that they have, and I don't feel like competing with it. I don't want to kind of like have that kind of rivalry strained anymore. So I'm just gonna move mine, and we've got a cool move that we're making anyways, and we're gonna be adding a lot more students. And so I want to give them the opportunity to participate as well.
I know what you want to announce, and I think we should hold off till at least midway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think that's going to be some exciting news.
Of course.
So what got you into jiu-jitsu?
So I was a very small child, always been short, still short. But I was also really small. Like right now, I consistently weigh in around 195. When I compete, that's when I want to weigh at as well. But I was getting picked on a lot. I was getting bullied a lot and getting beat up. And my stepfather, who, if you ever hear me refer to my dad, that's who I'm talking about. He passed away a few years ago. But he was the one that basically saw that I was struggling in life, saw that I wasn't really finding my way. I was very shy, very reserved kid. And I was getting taken advantage of because of that. And so he knew a guy who had a martial arts facility and was like, hey, we got to do something. So this summer break, I'm going to sign you up for these classes. I was 7 years old at the time. So I think that would have been 2002. And, I went in and it was fun and I made friends. But for me, it was definitely like it's kind of more of like a survival thing, right? No kid was actually going to take my life or anything, but it felt that way, going to school and being afraid all the time. And so gaining those skills to be able to defend yourself and be able to handle yourself was super important to me. But then I just stuck with it because of all the extra benefits that come along with it. was very empowering. And so that was pretty much the main reason why I got into it. I've stayed in it for other reasons.
What was the primary mover when you decided to open a gym? Because that's a big commitment. I imagine, like, you gotta design the facility, you gotta acquire the training equipment, all the mats, and people forget how much the mats cost.
Oh yeah.
Everything.
So the main motivator for it, right? I trained very, very consistently for about 13 years. And then I started, I was about 19 years old and started kind of getting caught up with girls and kind of trying to find my way in life. I also started a metal band, went nowhere with it, started another metal band, went nowhere with it. Eventually I found a little bit of success and was able to go and play shows and travel and things like that. And I still trained where I could, when I could, especially when I was traveling. It was an awesome opportunity to be able to stop in at all these other gyms and kind of get new perspectives on training. I was always really big on cross training, but it was nice to get that perspective. But when my father died, I just I harkened back to a lot of conversations we had where when I was in town, he would always tell me, hey, you need to like really settle down and find a gym, because at this point in your life, you would have been a black belt by now. And I always told him, yes, I'm going to go back. Yes, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, without getting into the nitty gritty of it, there was some people who made me feel very, very uncomfortable, not very safe in that gym at the time. And so that was one big reason why I never went back. And as time went on, accident happened, he passed away. And my dad was very, very good about, if he told you he was going to do something, it was going to happen. And if it didn't happen, he was going to make it up to you. And it was most likely because he got called to go to work. He was a union pipe fitter. So he was out of the state for 6 to 7 months at a time. So when he passed away, I thought about it and I was like, I haven't been as good as him as far as making good on my commitments. But I knew if there was one thing I could do, I could get back into training and I could accomplish that goal kind of in his memory. You have to excuse me. I just got over the flu last week, so I might be a little mucusy every now and again. But
no worries.
I got back into training and it was great. Went back to my old gym. The guys that I was not really wanting to be around weren't there anymore, so it was excellent. And then while I was there, and let me say this, I may have my own personal opinions on certain things, maybe like the training programs at other places, but ultimately I don't really care about that stuff. I more care about the culture, the people, and all that stuff. And but while I was there at my original gym, I noticed there was a huge issue where a lot of the upper belts, they seemed very bored, to the point in which they were kind of being disrespectful, like rolling their eyes whenever the instructor was talking about something. Maybe it was something simple and they're just kind of tired of going over it, or they'd be doing warm-ups and they would just kind of roll their eyes or not participate. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just curious, do you think that's due to a lack of new curriculum? Is that due to a lack of like excitement in the art, or like where does that come from?
Yeah, so I think that it was due mostly to a I'm not going to say a restrictive curriculum, but it was very heavily influenced by like the first 40 lessons of Elio Gracie and a lot of the self-defense stuff. There wasn't really any sportive aspect of things. And you as well as I know that anybody who stays in this long enough, they want to roll with their friends. They want to get a leg up on the other guy, right? They're like, oh man, John's beating me today. I want to beat him tomorrow. But when you come in and for an hour, you're working the exact same stacking pass that you worked last week and the same stacking pass you learned the week before, or maybe you did the same S mount armbar every Friday, at a certain point, you guys are just repping out the exact same moves and you're wondering why the game isn't working for you. So it was, when people want to roll with their friends, it becomes more of the sportive aspect of things and not so much the self-defense aspect of things. So I think it really came down to the curriculum. Not that it was a bad curriculum, it just was different. It wasn't probably what they were looking for.
What do you do differently at Apex that you think makes you guys stand out compared to that gym?
So when I decided to part ways and open up my own gym, which is its own thing, I knew that I was not going to go down the self-defense route. So I don't teach any of the like standing, like two-hand choke defenses. I don't teach any of the like grab the shoulder with the mirror lock stuff. I don't teach any of that. I only teach sport. And when I do, I teach very systematically and very much based on sequences. Because I found that like, I hypothesized anyways, that the average, 2 years to blue belt, the 5 to 6 years to purple belt, and so on and so on. I wondered if that was simply due to the limitations of what the human mind could take in, process through the body, and then output, or if it was a fundamental flaw in the way that most jiu-jitsu classes are structured, at least from my experience, the ones that I had been around. And what I commonly saw was, here's this takedown, right? Let's say it's a double leg takedown, right? We get them to the ground. Excellent. All right, guys, gather back up. Now I'm going to show you an ankle lock from the ground. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to show you is a guillotine from the guard. That's excellent. Cool. All the mechanics were there. It was taught properly. Great. But the issue is that how did we go from a double leg takedown to an ankle lock following up with a guillotine? None of those actually flow from one place to another. And so what I started doing is I took a step back and was like, if we're going to teach a class, right? And I don't know, let's say I'm trying not to use too much jargon here, but I know you're a practitioner yourself. Let's say we're starting from closed guard, right? How did we get there? Why are we just in closed guard right now?
Well, probably because I jumped guard. I mean, I did.
Jump guard, yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Yeah. So let's go off of that, right? So he jumped guard. Excellent. We're in closed guard now, but we're in a standing position. So I'm not going to then have us sit on the ground. I'm going to have us work to break the legs open from there, from a standing position. I'm not going to the ground with you at that point. The legs are now open. Pause. What are the options we have here? Okay, classic white belt, grab the ankle, fall back for the 50-50 ankle lock. Classic. Excellent. That's good news. Okay, but we've got 45 minutes left of class. Instead of showing something random from somewhere else, let's say they strip the leg and now they're clearing the 50-50. Where are we going from there? So now we start looking at plan A, plan B. Plan A is we sit back, we finish that ankle lock, right? That's a vacuum. You can only look at technique in the source of a vacuum. You can't just think that it's going to work like that in a live pressure tested situation. So then we look at the follow-up, and we try to make the follow-up small increments that don't require large amounts of transitions. And we look at the next natural offense that we can go to. As long as we stay in a advantageous offensive position, the opponent has to stay in a defensive guarded position, dealing with what we give him, right? If I go from an ankle lock and then try to get all the way on top and go for an armbar, we missed a lot of options along the way, and they're no longer options because they're behind us now. So we look at trying to take the shortest path to the next thing, and with the natural follow-ups, and hopefully by the end of the sequence, if everything failed all along the way, you never found any success as far as your submissions go, we try to make it to where we end up back in the same position where we were, potentially in a standard open guard scenario where we can simply redo the entire sequence. But now they have fought us for 2.5 minutes and they're tired. They might know what's coming, but I know how they defended it too. And I can start thinking about that. And we've had a lot of success with that. A lot of my guys with like 3 months experience, we go and compete, and I always tell them to ask how long the other person's been training, not as a flex, but just so that they can know they're getting good training. And normally with 3 months experience, we'll at least go get silver or gold, and the other guys have been training for like 2 years at that time. But having those systematic approaches to every single position has really helped. It takes about 8 weeks, and then I can get you pretty competent.
What's a typical training circuit before a tournament look like for your team? Without getting into too much details, we don't want to spoil.
I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, and I'll say this actually, just on that point. This applies to everything, not just jiu-jitsu. I did this in the real estate world too. I can tell you every detail to every training session, but unless you can put it together yourself, unless you can present that information in such a way that it clicks with people, it really doesn't matter. You can try to copy all you want, and I hope people do, because I'd like to see the standard raised in this area, but just in general. But like before a tournament, we're probably looking at about 6 to 8 weeks. Normally at the start of a year, we write up at least 4 tournaments on a whiteboard, and we already know the dates of when they're happening. We know who's signing up for them, because I don't allow people to sign up by the deadline. I give them my own deadline, and it's usually by the end of the early bird sign up. And after that, you're probably not going to get my attention as much if you haven't signed up by then. But it's usually about 8 weeks. We do a lot of technical work, followed by a lot of live pressure testing. So, you know, if we're working like open guard passing, right, we'll look at a lot of technical details. We'll look at a lot of follow-up options and how to chain them. And then I split the room into weight classes. Obviously, I don't have enough for every single real weight class, but I can say, hey, if you're over 200, get on the right side of the wall. If you're under 140, get on the left side of the wall. And anybody in the middle, get in the middle. And we'll run like pod drills. So we'll just put like a 5-minute timer on with a 1-minute rest. We'll put 3 guys out in the middle, and they're going to stay in the middle no matter what. And their job is simply just to not get their guard passed. And every time their guard gets passed or they sweep somebody, immediately that guy goes back to the wall. Same person stays in the middle though, and a fresh one comes out, and it just round robin until they can find some success. We also have a Friday comp class, which is 2 hours long, and that one kind of sucks. Usually the trash can comes out and somebody throws up, but it's very heavy cardio intensive, but it's functional stuff. Like we don't just run laps and get on a bike or anything like that. We get the grappling dummies out, and maybe I'll have half of them running laps, and then the dummies are in the middle, and 3 people will go out there, and I'll say, hey, 50 push-ups from side control to knee on belly perfectly over and over and over. You got to do 50 of them. And when you get your 50, get off the dummy and start running. New guy come in. And when it's your turn to go back in, you're going to go to the other side of the dummy and do your other side. And then you're going to go back to running. And then you're going to hit it, and you're going to transition from one side to the other 50 times. And so a lot of like jiu-jitsu focused like cardio stuff that just kind of wears you out from doing it over and over again.
You do a lot more of the I don't know what's jeez, I forgot what kind of training that's called. I gotta review my material. I haven't I did like the whole personal trainer NASM thing a while back, and then like completely fell off, and then you know how you don't use something for forever and it just kind of slips away, kind of like jiu-jitsu or training when you haven't been.
Sure, yeah. Well, I will say that the one exception to that is when people start as kids, right? When you're in that age group from like 5 to 14, you're really dialing in you're kind of retraining your instincts as far as like how you move, how you operate. And like, if you can get your kids in really fast and like really commit them to it, right? I'm not going to say you need to make your kids do things that they just absolutely abhor, but like, I do think that this is probably one of those things where you should not just let them quit because it's a little hard, right? Because that's all of life. But people who train since they were kids, I know people who have trained since they were 7 years old. They take 6 years off and they come back, and yeah, they got to get their bearings a little bit, but within 3-4 months, they're pretty much back. but like that's rare. That's why I think it's so important, especially like for kids that or people who want to become like world-class athletes. If you can see that in them as kids, maybe they're on the wrestling team, definitely keep going. Definitely, because even if they take a long break, they can still jump back into it. But for adults like us, if we start at 25 and then we go for 4 years and take 3 years off, yeah, it'll be like starting over again.
What do you think is the most important thing to success if you haven't been doing this since you were a child?
Honestly, not. So you should definitely put stock in what your coach says. A lot of times they're trying to give you, they've made the mistakes, right? They've been down the road. They're trying to kind of give you the answers to the questions that a lot of like my coaches didn't have. My coaches were the ones that were reading books out in the grass and looking at a diagram and going, I guess let's try to figure it out, And so definitely listen to your coach, but don't hang on their words like they're like some sort of deity. Take your training into your own hands and really start looking at things from a conceptual basis and not just a matter of fact, like this is how it's done basis. But also understand that class is a guide. Class is not the thing that's going to make you as good as you could be. Class is just like a teacher giving you homework, but giving you the answers to the homework and telling you, all right, now go write the answers 500 more times. So definitely understand that you're not going to become a world-class person or a world-class athlete in a 55-minute training session where ultimately the coach has to present the information in a way that is conducive to business, if that makes sense. Like if it were up to me, I would not show submissions for a year. I would literally just show you how to hold someone down and how to get out of bad spots. And then we can look at submissions. Because if you can't escape and you can't maintain, it's just a party trick. It's just something you can go to your friends and be like, hey, lay on the ground. Don't resist me. Give me your arm. Doesn't that hurt? Yeah, that's cool. But like, could you actually put them on the ground and hold them down and get to that position and then hold them in the armbar and then finish? That's a little bit taller of an order. And I think that oftentimes, because you have to, but classes at most gyms tend to just show you the cool stuff just so you can go home and say, I can do that.
Now, question, circling back a little bit there.
Oh, yeah, and you can pardon me. I've got ADHD bad, so if I don't answer a question, just throw it back.
No, you're good. I'm actually circling back quite a bit here. You mentioned early on that you guys don't focus so much on the self-defense aspect, more on the sport aspect. Mm-hmm. I'm curious. A lot of jiu-jitsu gyms get a lot of slack for starting on the feet. Do you guys still start on the feet? I assume you practice your takedowns and...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I stay in my lane. So I don't claim to be a world-class judo guy or a great wrestler. Even when I was doing striking work, I was always a counterpuncher. So I'm for my own personal style, and I try not to teach this to everybody, but for me, I like to start my engagements on the feet with the idea of when you go to take me down or when you go to throw me, you are probably the most unstable balance-wise as you could be in that moment. And I just try to take advantage of that and redirect and put them to the ground or reversal. But yeah, we always start on the feet unless they don't want to, then they don't have to. Or unless we're playing like a game, like we do this game called chess where you simply make one move and then you pause. You let your other person make a move and then they pause. And starting on the feet and doing that isn't super successful. I usually start them on the ground or in a position. So that way they can get more into the grappling art of things instead of the wrestling, throwing art of things. And it's so slow if you take one move at a time on the feet.
Oh, sorry.
Don't be.
No, I was typing in the thing, getting some questions going. So I've actually run out of questions. Jeremy, wake up. Get in here.
Wasn't awake. I've been letting you guys go on and on. I'm hearing all the training secrets, so I can actually like maybe get into jiu-jitsu and do something other than punch a wooden dummy all day. But no, man, it's phenomenal hearing and seeing that you definitely have a unique perspective and approach to what you're wanting to do. You know, I have seen a lot of what you're talking about where you're going through and you're just seeing different positions and then they don't really go together. Whereas, at least it sounds like if somebody comes into your class, they at least know in this scenario, I have a plan, and I have another plan, and I have another plan, and then they can work on that. But it's not so much as, oh, let's patch together all of the random stuff we've learned over the last 2 weeks and try to turn it into something. So that's...
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And like, I think a really big, important part of things is trying to get the practitioners, students, to understand things conceptually, and also just giving them a pathway to success. Because yeah, I can show you how to do a straight ankle lock, right? And I would venture to say that at least at my gym, we probably have the best straight ankle lock around here. Like by the time the guy even wraps it up, there's no arch into it. It's already at the breaking point. If he's hipping into it, I mean, it's broken. But like a lot of times what you find is whenever you're trying to teach somebody something, they have a question. And normally the question starts off with, hey coach, it's not working, right? Sometimes you get the arrogant guy who's like, this just don't work. But we teach him. But teach conceptually, like a good conceptual foundation of how to answer your own questions, then you don't have to sit there and really baby them so much, right? Instead of showing them and even grabbing a hold of them and moving their body for them, I just give them the tools that guide them to the answer, right? So I tell them this, like, especially like on a day one class, which I don't really put the training wheels on. So day one classes don't really happen very frequently, but sometimes they do. But like day one, I always tell them, hey, you know, everything that you're doing, whether you're boxing, wrestling, grappling, whatever, all you're doing at the core of everything is just distance management, right? You're managing the distance from your chest to their chest, or your bottom to their shoulder on like an arm bar or something. And then I tell them, here's the cheat code, right? If you're on offense, if you're attacking, take the space. That's how you're going to manage the distance. You're going to take all the space. And on the inverse, if you're on defense, you need to be making some space, right? So you can get out of there. And so once they identify, am I in an advantageous position? Am I attacking? Am I on offense? What do I need to do? Okay, I'm on offense. This isn't working. Okay, check mark. There needs to be some space that I need to take, right? So then they pause and they look and they go, what's all the space that I can influence with my limbs? They start taking all that space. They start tightening things up. And then all of a sudden they're finding success with their submissions and things like that, right? And then I stole this from Greg Souders. It's not something I made up, but I heard one of his speeches one time where he talked about there's an order of operations, right? You have to pick something. You have to isolate it away from the body, whether it's the neck, the arm, the leg, whatever it is, you have to isolate it. So you have to wrap it up, right? Get it singular. Then most of the time people go to just the breaking pressure. And that you see guys hipping into arm bars really hard and stuff, but they're skipping that immobilization part. You have to isolate, then immobilize, then break. And when I heard him say that, I knew it, but it gave like a real clear thing that people could use to figure things out. And I see the students doing that. They'll grab an arm and I see the wheels turning and they're like, okay, check, I've got the arm. Now I've got to make it not move. Now I can break it.
It's incredible how once you kind of understand the basic principles or fundamentals of jiu-jitsu, how much easier it is to progress in the art. Like when someone says drop your weight, such a basic concept to someone like me and you, but like to a white belt who's never had to sink their weight into their shoulder or have to sink it into their chest, you know what I mean? It's a different mechanic that you're not used to yet. And it's also something that I think is highly underestimated is the mechanics of jiu-jitsu, is what makes it so effective is those fundamentals of control. But I think a lot of them also are derived from judo and, wrestling
Yeah, sure.
credit due. I actually did have a question for you. Ask him about his flow chart he had written out at the old school for students. It's quite genius. I am not a jiu-jitsu man, and even I understand it. Oh,
Yes.
this is hands for. I'm sorry, hands forward with Rodney Morgan. Look at that.
Yeah, I love Rodney. So what he's referring to is sometimes when I have athletes that are wanting to go compete, and I'll ask them like, "What's your game plan?" And usually it's, "I don't really have one," right? And that's pretty kosher, given the fact that game plans almost never go the way you plan it. But what I have them do is I have them create like one of those flow charts where you put something at the top and then you branch something off and then you branch off and you branch off. And I tell them like probably about 8 weeks before, you need to decide how you're getting to the ground, right? If you're going to pull guard, excellent, that's fine. We're going to have a bubble that says pull guard. If you're going to throw, if you're going to stand, then we have stand. Pick one, right? Let's say you pull guard. So we're going to pull guard. How are we pulling guard? Are we pulling into some kind of like De La Hiva, or are we pulling into close guard? And both are fine. Both are options. Both you're good at. But what we need to do is then look, okay, De La Hiva. Where are we going from there? Are they squared up with you? Yes, no. Yes, cool, we're going here. No, we're going here. And then hopefully you find a way to tie these branches into each other so that you don't have this giant web that spreads out for miles, right? The idea is that things branch off and they branch off, but ultimately it should become a circle. It should become cyclical to where they all kind of come back to the same thing. We have a starting point and an end point. And almost like when you drive home, right? You probably have a path that you take often, but if you're familiar with the area, you know that there's a bunch of roads that all connect together and you can take 5 different paths just to get to your house, right? And so I have them go through and write out their own flow chart. I don't give them a flow chart because I don't want them to be copies of myself, and my body's different than theirs. So they might not be able to do the things that I do, and I might not be able to do the things they do. So we make it very individualistic. And then afterwards, I have them write it on flashcards, have them go home to their spouse. And if they don't have anybody at home, then I'll just sit there and do it with them. And I'll just boom, I'll pull it up. I'm like, okay, you pulled guard. You ended up in close guard. They're leaning back. Where are we going? And just have them have that memorization. So that way they don't have to sit there and think about too much other than just if this, then that. Kind of like a coding thing.
You said something there that I wanted to hop on, and this is a little bit of a subject change, but at the same time, it's branching off of what you were saying. You know, something small you said there is that you make these flashcards of people, and that they can take them home, and if they don't have somebody at home, that you're more than happy to sit there and run through those with them. And I just wanted to highlight that because one of the main things, we've spent probably 30 minutes of this podcast talking about how you teach jiu-jitsu and what the different ways are, your approach. But when I think about you and I think about Apex, the main thing that has been preached to me and that I've seen from coming around is the impact in the community that you're wanting. And even something as simple as that, being able to say, oh yeah, no, I'll sit down with my students. Oh yeah, this is for you to take home. You don't have somebody at home, I'll sit down with you. You tell me, and I just wanted to sit down and really look at what your vision is for Apex with that community. You guys have risen really quickly. I mean, for you guys, so you're coming up on your year anniversary here in less than a month?
5 days.
Oh wow! Oh boy! Okay, yeah. See, 5 days. That's awesome, man. So yeah, tell me more about what you're wanting to do with that.
Yeah. So obviously there's meme culture online when it comes to the combat sports world, and one big thing in that is that a lot of coaches they say that they discourage cross training, or that you're not allowed to go train other places, or they don't welcome in people from other gyms. And I don't know exactly how true that is in the grand scheme of things, on a national or global level. And I've been in Paducah my whole life. I've traveled a lot, but I've born and raised here. And I'll say this, I don't know a single coach in this area, because I do know them all, I don't know a single coach in this area that actively prohibits people from training other places, but there's definitely like a cultural sense in the training rooms, not all of them, but like some of them, where even the students will tell you, hey, like don't go do that, don't go to that other gym. Hey, why did you put in the group chat that you got invited to another gym? Like, why would you say that? But I know that the owner doesn't really care. It's not like a thing, but there's this weird culture in this town, at least, where it's very much, if you're with us, don't be with them, and if you're with them, don't come over here. And I never subscribed to that. I always did whatever I wanted to do. Like I'm not beholden to another mortal man, so I'm never going to let somebody have that kind of control over me. Also, it's weird because McDonald's is not going to get mad at you for going to Wendy's tomorrow. And I hate to like relegate myself to a fast food chain, but like where it's like one of the only industries where people are weird about going and spending your money at other places. And I don't get that. And so when I originally opened up, right, the original gym that I had formed was called Metamorphosis Combat Academy. It was kind of born out of a joke, more or less the name was. But at the same time, it really hammered home that this idea of change. And I really wanted to change the local scene, the local community, and bring it together. When I was a young kid, I remember at the gym that I was at, it was not crazy to walk in to just a normal Monday class, not an event, not a seminar, and have 60, 70 people on the mats. And then you know that there's so many more than that aren't as consistent, or maybe are just private only students. And I couldn't confirm this number, but I had always heard that there was over 400 members at one gym at one time in this town. As time went on, and right before I opened my gym, I got kind of like a layout of the land and realized that most gyms in this town were not doing well. And there was only about 80, 90 people at probably the most popular gym. Again, I can't confirm those numbers, but those are just numbers that I've been given from other people that were kind of on the back end of these businesses. But they weren't the owners giving me these numbers, so it's kind of speculative. But I just like started doing some counting and realized that there was less practitioners in this town than one gym had at one time 15 years ago when the sport, the activity, the hobby was not nearly as popular. And I thought that was really weird. And so I started kind of digging into it. And what I came to find is that like most gym cultures are ran and operated by the students. And that's, I guess that's kind of cool. Like, you know, the students get to kind of run the ship. But it's really bad for the community, I feel like, because nobody is going to care about your business and about your gym more than you. And so if that's the case, why would you hand the reins off to, for all intents and purposes, young guys, you know, kids, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old? Why would you hand something that precious off to them and allow them to dictate how people are treated in the room? And so, like, I really felt that if I could bring the community together, right? If I could show some sort of camaraderie between the different coaches, the different gym owners, and show that, hey, we do get along. Why are you guys scared to train with each other? We can be, right? And then it really came from a leadership, like exemplifying what you want to see in your room by behaving that way every single day in every single interaction. And if you do that, then I think you can create an environment that welcomes new people who might have been put off. Maybe they heard a bad story, like they're went to a random gym and there was this guy there. He was a jerk. Oh, well, I don't want to get in that sport. Those are the people. I feel like you gotta really create an environment that's welcoming to those that have never done it before. And I really think that we're heading that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you're saying in terms of how the gym culture is perpetuated, but I wanted to work off of something you said there, and then this is just me theorizing in my room at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. So I mean, I'm not gonna act like I got the secret as MMA community, but when you're comparing, you know, like, oh well, you're saying a lot of this is student run, you know, a lot of this is community, and then you're saying, like, why are we treating this like McDonald's and Burger King, or why are we not treating this more like McDonald's and Burger King? I think the gray area there, the strength and the weakness for all the problems it's caused is Burger King and McDonald's might say, oh yeah, we're a family here. Y'all are not bleeding together. Y'all are not going out and fighting together, right? And so, like, when you have a sense of loyalty like that, I think it's very hard as a young guy who's looking for camaraderie, who's looking for loyalty, who's looking for friendship, and you're going into a community where they're saying, this is my team. These are the guys you're going to be bleeding with, sweating with, they're going to be fighting with you. These are the guys you're probably going to be hanging out with outside of the gym when you go out to watch the UFC fights and everything else. Then I can see where it starts to get a little bit more complicated, because it grows past the instructor and becomes a sense of loyalty to one another. And at the same time, I see where you're saying that, and I've noticed this, you know, and I've said this to a lot of the people around here. I'm like, look, guys, I have one fight. I've bounced around most of the gyms in this area. You know, I trained at Warrior for about a year. I've trained at Apex a little bit off and on in the FMA stuff. I've been to Bushido, fought at a Bushido, right? I got my root at Three Rivers. I've also gone to Colorado. I've also gone to Texas, and I've seen that there can be more of a structure, and there probably should be, because if we run more of a tight ship and say, and the instructors come in and say, this is what's not allowed. This drama and shit isn't allowed. You're not going to look at another student and say this. That seems to be what we're missing. And nobody wants to offend anybody, and you don't want to mess with their money. But why are we all, and I know I'm saying the same thing you've said. I've heard you say this before. Why are we all arguing in a small town about who's better and nobody's making it?
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of delusion of grandeur, a little bit, and maybe that's the wrong term, but yeah, it's like, I mean, I will never talk politics publicly or in the gym. But,
oh yeah, of course. And let me be clear, I'm not trying to get into any of the nitty gritty on that. I'm talking about the conception of how to change the community and what's going on now. It's not my intention to go through and list off anybody.
And the reason I preface that way, right, is because, and this applies to the training room and everything else, I always tell people, try to find inspiration in the world and find out how it applies to what you're doing, right? So, like, super simple. It's plastered all over most courthouses, city hall buildings, things like that, right? That quintessential phrase, united we stand, divided we fall, right? Right now, there seems to, well, it's a lot better now, but there was this big division between the gyms, and people were talking crap about gyms they'd never even been to, which was weird to me. But what I kind of took from that was like, well, what if we went the other way? What if we tried to unite, like maybe just under the banner of Paducah at first, right? Just under the banner of our local community, the people we work with, we see all the time. Why are we trying to create a division between 30,000 people in a town? It's kind of weird. If we could just all come together, then it would be much better, right? And then I also think that when you say, like, you know, when you fight with people, when you bleed with these people, they're part of your team. Yes, but sometimes there's like this forced, this is your teammate. Okay, but why? Why is he my teammate? I don't agree with him fundamentally on the way that he interacts with people. I don't agree with the way that he treats the new people walking in. Why is he my teammate? Well, he's been here for a very long time. Okay. No business is too big to fail. So no practitioner should be beyond getting kicked out if they're negatively impacting things.
Back to the community thing, though, it's also it's kind of important for people who may be on the wrong path to have a strong community to develop and progress. Yeah. And jiu-jitsu can be that path for so many people. So on top of maybe building that positive community, maybe I mean, what are the steps before kicking someone out? Obviously, you don't just throw someone to the street.
Yeah, you're right. You got to give people chances. You can't just say, "Oh, you said something I don't like," and get out. Right? You have to. Again, I think this goes back to literally everything in life and every bit of social interaction. You have to strive for some sense of understanding one another. Right? We spend so much time trying to understand either a combat art or whatever task is in front of us, but we don't really spend a lot of time trying to get to know and understand each other and the experiences we've been through that have maybe led to the value system, or understand what traumas in the past may have arose that lead someone to have the values they do, what might offend them, what might not offend them, and then things like that. But sorry, I got a little distracted. What was the question?
I ain't gonna lie, my ADHD got me too.
I love how this is just three ADD guys on a podcast. Just like now,
This is like after every time my jiu-jitsu coach shows me a move, and then like 5 seconds later, it's like, hey, can you show me that again?
Yeah, for sure. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I think that like having a welcoming environment where people are built up. I don't agree with the mentality of you've got to get in here and we're going to beat you up. And after so much time of you getting beat up, maybe then I'll learn your name. And then after that, you show me a little more. Maybe then I'll respect you, right?
Sounds like hazing.
I remember the question.
It sounds like hazing. Sorry, my bad.
No, the question was, what was the kind of steps and process before like you would kick someone out? Like, say I'm a troublemaker. I come in there. I'm, I don't let go of submissions. Maybe I say some reckless shit online, and I have a bad attitude. What's the course of correction before you kick that person out?
Yeah, so I mean, like you have to take it case by case. Ultimately, I try to have a conversation with that person, and really just kind of let them know, like, hey, this is not like, can you become a world champion in this gym and be a rough dude and like be a tough guy? Yeah, but this is a place for anybody and everybody, hobbyists, enthusiasts, competitors, whatever. And everybody in this room is going to get your respect. They're not going to earn it. They're going to get it until otherwise given a reason not to. And at that point, I need to be involved. I need to know what's going on in the room, or I can't fix it. So I would have a conversation with them first. I would assume ignorance, right? I don't assume that people know better on certain things. As much as I would love to just assume that everybody knows how to behave and everybody knows how to talk to everybody with class and tact and dignity, modeled behaviors are important, and not everybody's had those things modeled. So I try to go and say, this person just didn't know any better, but now they do, right? Then the second time is, okay, let me take a little bit of ownership for my own communication skills. Maybe I said something that was perceived differently. Maybe I didn't communicate it effectively, and now I need to communicate it differently. I don't just say the same thing twice, because that gets me the same result 3 times, and that's insanity. I reword things, I talk things out. If there's an issue between the students, I set them down next to each other and say, hey, we're going to talk this out or somebody's leaving. And then on the third time, at that point, it's pretty much like depending on what it is, hey, it's not a good fit. I can point you in the direction of some people that might be able to take you in, that might be able to handle what you're throwing. But it's just not a good fit. And as far as like online reckless behavior, things like that, we have a code of conduct book, and part of that is if you represent our academy or our school or any of our coaches or training out in the public eye in a negative way, we will just remove you from the roster. We had a guy one time, basically he came in, he trained with me for a little bit. I should have kicked him out way sooner than I did. But it was a learning experience. And ultimately he ended up at a bar and looked over at this guy, started a confrontation, and then puffed up at him and said, I train at Metamorphosis. You don't want to mess with me. No, sir, we do not conduct ourselves that way. 90% of altercations you can walk away from, or you can just swallow your pride, and there was no reason for that interaction to ever happen. And so things like that, there's no tolerance. That's just asshole behavior and giving me a bad name. But mostly just conversations and trying to find understanding and empathy with that person and giving them the opportunity to understand and fix the ignorance.
Fair enough. I mean, like that. Oh, we had a.
Michael just said he used our gym name too, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, man.
Oh, no, go ahead, Jeremy. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say that having that base code of conduct and that baseline of saying, this is what we allow, this is what we don't allow, and just making a baseline clear, this is how things go, instead of everybody's opinions getting mixed up, but away from all that, and, really seeing the main point that I wanted to get there was that having a gym or a school with a baseline code of conduct that is saying this is what we allow, this is what we don't allow, and that's that, is definitely going to help a lot with just a lot of misguided youth. I mean, a lot of these people aren't like, oh, I think I'm fucking better than everybody else, pardon my language. It's no, you want to... It's that sense of rivalry you're going to have. You're in a sport where the entire goal is to choke somebody else unconscious or put them unconscious in some way, right? Of course there's going to be that sense of rivalry. We can all be better.
Sure.
But
competitive industry.
Getting away from that too, let's focus on some of the things you've done to actually bring the community together, because I'm looking back now and seeing your gym filling up, as we speak. Tell us some of the things you've actually got going on at Apex, man. I know you're doing the jiu-jitsu. What else is going on?
Yeah, so I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at, right? And I know that people want multiple disciplines under one roof, right? And not everybody can't pay me $110 a month and then go pay the boxing gym $110 a month and then go pay the MMA gym $110 a month. It's not doable, right? But unfortunately, it kind of had to be that way because everybody had rent, everybody had utilities, things like that. And so what I wanted to do was bring specialized people from their fields under one roof, right? And so how we kind of did that is I had to prove myself first, right? Who am I? Why in the world would you go into business with me? Why in the world would you come coach for me if I'm not at the top of my field too, right? So I had to prove myself first. And once I felt like I had proved myself, we'd gone down the competitive route, I had shown that I had value, that I can bring people into a room, paying customers into a room that are routinely, they're not late on their payments, they're good people. These are people you want in your room, right? Then I get to know all the coaches. I get to know all the business owners. And then what we did is, actually he's down there somewhere. He's about to start teaching kids class. The co-owner of the business, Brandon Hayden, he had a boxing gym and it was called Rough House Boxing. And I had heard nothing but phenomenal things about the athletes coming out of that room, about the technical prowess, about also the community itself, the atmosphere in the room. They kind of had the same thing we were doing, just a different art, right? I'm never going to start a striking program that I can't teach, right? So what we did is, she actually ended up coming to my gym, which was awesome because I had actually been going from gym to gym, talking to the owners and kind of planting seeds of what I was trying to do. But he actually just showed up at my gym randomly one day. And we got to talking, got to knowing each other. We did some free seminars for each other. I taught his guys some jiu-jitsu. He taught my guys some boxing. And I also asked my people, how do you feel about that guy? And they loved him. So as time went on, we got together and we decided to basically come together under one building, under one name, and basically have dedicated coaches for each aspect of the game at this point, right? And the idea is to further expand that over time and add even more layers to the fitness world, combat sports world, and things like that by just, instead of having this division of whose gym's better, why don't we just have one gym? I know that everybody wants to have their own business, and that's great. I really want everybody in this town to succeed. But if you just want to be a coach and you just want to run your program and you have something special to offer, talk to me. Let's see what we can do, right? It's got to be mutually beneficial, but like, let's just be one big team. Let's just be Team Paducah or like the region or whatever, right? And so that's kind of been my mission, is to bring everybody together and give everybody their specialized lane so that we can actually finally get somebody out of this town that has the talent and has the proper training to make something of themselves.
That's awesome, man. I will say that's what I've heard really from day one. You know, but the second that Apex started coming onto the scene, or back when it was meta, you know, I was hearing a lot of my teammates, everybody talk about it, and even before meta came into the picture, the local guys have always said this. We've all sat in our own living room and sat there and talked to one another and been like, why don't we all come together under one banner? How many boxing gyms have opened up and closed in Paducah in the last 5 to 10 years?
I couldn't even tell you.
How many people opened up just in the right next to the Cardinal Lanes? You know, there's got to be a way to get everybody under one roof, and having that idea where, okay, I've got a guy that specializes in boxing. I've got a guy who specializes in jiu-jitsu. I've got a guy who can cover the self-defense stuff, is a different approach that is going to encourage everybody looking at each other's ideas and incorporating them into one another, so we can have a full window pane instead of 10 pieces of shattered glass and trying to say, this is what we're going to sell.
Yeah, it's also a very precarious position, though, right? Because you can't bring everybody on. It's a utopia idea, right? It'd be great to just go buy the old Kmart building, 40,000 square foot, put everybody under one building. That'd be great, right? But unfortunately, not everybody fits that mold, right? There are some other coaches I've talked to, still talking to them. They know I'm not talking about them. But there are just some places that wouldn't fit the mold. Unfortunately, the leadership in the room has kind of led to the problem, right? And it has led to the downfall of combat sports in this area. But there are a select few that are, we're very well acquainted, and we're all working on that and organizing all that stuff. So as much as it'd be nice to get everybody in one room, it's kind of impossible. And you wouldn't want everybody, because not everybody's going to help grow it, right? They're just more interested in their own thing and their own philosophies and their own ideas, to really set it to the side and think about the bigger picture.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because at the end of the day, you're wanting the best for the athletes, and you're wanting to be able to bring everybody in that can contribute to them and has their athletes' best interest in mind, not necessarily their own best interest or their own business's best interest in mind. And I mean, we've run into that before, we're like, again, it's just one of those scenarios where what you're putting together now is something special. And I'm really curious to see where it goes within the next year. And speaking of, now would probably be a good time. Speaking of you bringing everybody together, you said you had something you wanted to let everybody know?
Yeah, right. So it's kind of been in the works for a little while now. Funnily enough, I knew this guy prior to me opening a gym, and I knew that he had the same vision as me. And he had tried several times in the past. But like I said, it takes the right people, right? It takes the people with the right drive who are willing to, sell everything like I did, quit their job like I did, basically struggle your way through it. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, but I was, and I wanted to make sure that I was seen and that I could prove myself before we went into anything. But so for the future, right? And this is kind of the first public announcement of it. Pretty much everybody in the room already knows. Pretty soon, we'll be upgrading our facility. This facility is 4,000 square feet, maybe a little less. The new facility is 10,000 square feet. On top of that, there's probably about 100 lockers. It's got I think the main training room is about 8,000 square foot. But what we're doing is we're putting everything together with a local CrossFit gym here called CrossFit Dig Deep. They've been established for a long time and have done really well. And myself and Brandon and the owners of that gym kind of have an aligned vision on things. And so what we're going to do is we're going to all come together, right? And that's going to really cross the bridge into the fitness world so that the athletes can actually get coached training, like with that one-on-one individual training regimen that can really elevate them to that athlete level body status. But on top of that, we're going to have the jiu-jitsu program. We'll have a judo program. I'm going to reach out to this guy who runs a wrestling program and see if he wants to come in. We have nutritionists on staff. We have a retail and supplement store inside of the building as well. We have an in-body scanner for looking at body fat percentages so we can set goals for people. On top of that, it's a 24-hour facility. So you're going to have access to the entire gym 24/7, right? And on top of that, because of what we're doing and because of the infrastructure that's already there, we're going to be able to do it for a very affordable price. That's going to be a one price. There is no packages. There's no, 6-class package, this, that, or the other. Or what if I just want to do one thing? No, it's probably not the fit gym for you, right? It's one price and you get everything. You'll have CrossFit coaches helping you get fit and get in shape. You'll have me as the head jiu-jitsu coach giving you the systems that you can use to accomplish the goals that you want, right? We'll have Brandon, best striking coach in this area by far, handling all the hands and stuff. There's a guy there named Devin who has trained with Jake Shields and lots of other people of high pedigree that can, maybe even foster connections for you. There's supplement and retail store in there where you can actually go and get the vitamins, pre-workout, just whatever it is you need, right? And then on top of that, it's 24 hours. So maybe you're not able to make class, but you can call up your buddy and say, hey, you want to go down to the gym? The mats are clean, they're open, they're ready. And on top of that, everything's already there. And on top of that, there's over 100 people already training there that are just going to get added to the roster. So we're hopefully looking at about 170 to 210 people when we make that transition, most likely on December 1st.
Oh, wow. You'll be with the rest.
I can tell you right now that the price, I'm not going to announce the price just yet, but I can tell you that it's cheaper than any jiu-jitsu school around here for the full unfettered access to everything. It's cheaper than one membership at any jiu-jitsu school here in town.
How accessible from neighboring towns is it going to be?
Say that one more time.
How accessible from neighboring towns is it going to be? So, like, I know Murray's close by. You have a few other close by towns.
Love how John was trying so hard to name 3 towns in Kentucky and just skip past it because he couldn't do it.
Hey, I don't blame you one bit.
I just wanted to name Murray.
Yeah, so it's located pretty much in the heart of Paducah, which, John, you're from New York, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so this won't mean much to you, but anybody else local will know. It's right across the street from Noble Park, which is on the main road that takes you either to the mall area, the west side, the south side of town, and it's right off the interstate. If you took the interstate and you got off at the mall exit, which, someone's going to call me out on this. I think it's exit 4. Pretty sure, but it's within about 5 to 10 minutes off the main exit once you get here.
I'm not gonna lie. I love the whole complex idea. I've thought of something similar, like just the demand, like in my area, that would sell beautifully. Mm-hmm. Just as a training facility. I think Sticker Mule has something somewhat similar, but I don't know that company. Then I think pretty sure UFC doesn't UFC do something similar as well with Apex, or am I thinking something else?
Possibly.
Apex has something similar. We have with the trainers and the supplements and stuff on board. But yeah, my bad, y'all.
Yeah, no, I think it's a phenomenal idea. I'm concerned about the location with Paducah only being like a 30,000 population and like sustaining that size. But like, God bless you. I hope it works. I want to visit it when I stop by in November. So.
I'll visit from Lexington.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
They're coming down for the Rival FC show. So
yeah, I'll be cornering some of our guys on that, so I'll definitely be able to see you there.
Very nice. I look forward to meeting you, my friend. Well,
Yeah,
physically.
I get the idea of like the population density and things like that. And I was actually talking to Jeremy's brother about this today. Is that the general idea is that you have a population market of 1% of whatever your total population is that would be your target demographic, right? That would be your customer base. If you're talking about 1% of Paducah at 30,000 people, I mean, what? That's 300 people? It's not a lot.
Right.
Now,
No.
I'm telling you right now, you put 300 members inside of my gym, I'm going to be fine. Monetarily wise, our cost of living here is pretty low. Honestly, like, I'm doing fine now. But when we make this switch and all that, we're not going anywhere. We will be here for pretty much as long as we can. Like, there shouldn't be anything that comes up that'll put us out at that point. But when you look at that and you think only 1% of the population, I think you have to ask yourself a question of why. Why is it 1%? Is it a optics thing? Is it just like athletically built people type of thing? I don't really know, because I have people in my room that want nothing more than just something to do. They're not fighters, they're not athletes, but then I do have athletes. And then I do have those that like have that killer instinct and just want to go to a tournament and break something. And I have them in the same room. And I really think that it comes down to like a marketing thing. And I think it comes down to the optics a lot of times of how are we presenting what we're selling, right? Because unfortunately, whatever you're in, everything comes down to sales, no matter what industry you're in, right? You have to find a way to up that percentage, right? Because if we went from 1% to 2%, now we're talking 600 people in the town. If we went to 5%, we're talking 1,500 people in this town. And I don't think that that's necessarily that unachievable. I think that what you just have to do is present it in such a way that it appeals to the people who aren't necessarily looking to get their nose bloodied and get in a fight, right? You have to find a way to give somebody purpose or a sense of belonging, like they're part of something bigger, right? Or that maybe you spin it in such a way that you're getting a support community. You're getting a group of people who care about you, who are going to build you up, right? That's a big thing here, is that like, if you're a plumber and you're in this room and you hear somebody across the room say, I got a leak in my house. I mean, you don't have to, but like the culture in the room tells you, go help that person. Go ask them what you can do for them. I can't tell you how many alternators and batteries and flat tires and all sorts of things that I've done in the parking lot of the gym. And we don't ask for money for that. We just take care of each other. And when you present it in such a way where you're getting a support system, well, how many people in this world need a support system? I think that's a little more than 1% of the population. And so I think that's really what has helped us grow.
No, that's so true. I mean, when you think of the majority of the people in jiu-jitsu and even martial arts as a whole, I think the majority of the people in the room are not the athlete. They are not your target 1% demographic. They are the random who saw their kid doing jiu-jitsu, like Rachel, or the person who stumbled upon it because their parent dropped them off as a kid, like Keaston. Yeah. We got, Jeremy, who wanted to stop getting bullied, or me, who wanted to get over my PTSD, so like it's one of those things where like jiu-jitsu is a solution to so many aspects. So yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it.
Well, and also think about this for a second too. If you have everything under one roof, right? Let's say you don't like jiu-jitsu. Okay, I'm going to lose you as a customer if that's all I offer, right? And then they're going to go find something else. Maybe it's lifting. Cool. Maybe they get tired of that. Then they're going to go find boxing. Okay, then they're going to get tired of that, and then they're just not going to do anything, right? Because
if it's all under one price, they don't have to move stuff around constantly either. They can just literally go in one day and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to go box. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. My ADD just jumped straight in, man. My bad.
No, you're good. And that's the thing, right, is that, like, a lot of times our own insecurities will keep us from coming back to something, right? Anybody who's ever left my room is always welcome back, right? But we get in our own way. We're like, oh man, I didn't even tell him I was quitting. I just didn't show up and it's been 6 months and I don't know if I can come back, Okay, I totally get that. One, if you're watching, come back. I miss you. But two, like, if you just have it all under one roof, then like you kind of get to just cycle through whatever you want to do. And then when you decide to come back around, that relationship's still been there. And you don't have to try to replace them with someone else. You just keep them there, right? And so I feel like that's also been super beneficial to like the churn of the business. We don't really lose a lot of people. We just maybe lose them to the program. They might go do a different program, and we don't really ask any questions. We just welcome them through the door and they say, hey, I'm going to go do some stick and knife fighting today. It's like, hey, that's great. And we're on the asset high. And then, somebody's like, hey, I'm kind of done boxing. I'm going to go over here and see what these guys are doing. It wasn't for me. In fact, I've missed boxing. I'm coming back, right? And it just kind of keeps people in the room and they don't feel like they burned any bridges, right? Because if you go to 3 different gyms and you quit all of them, chances of you actually coming back are super slim. But if you just switch from the different program that's in the room, then it's no big deal, right?
That's a really unique way of approaching and structuring that. I definitely see the vision here, man. It's really cool to see this conceptualized and actual, going from just being conceptualized to actually implemented.
Yeah, it's wild. I never thought I'd be here in a year. I thought I'd still be in that office space, maybe had 60 students or something like that. And like that was on a dime. Like I didn't think we would be moving into a 10,000 square foot facility and having a 24-hour operation that already has 10 coaches on staff down there.
I mean, the place behind you, it looks amazing as is.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We built everything in this room, like all these racks, this boxing ring with bag racks around it. We built all that. Like we didn't really buy anything. I mean, obviously we bought
I can see a wobbling, so I can tell. I'm kidding.
Yeah, my little brother actually did a lot of the welding on that. He spent like 3 days, like 10-hour days welding on that thing, and it was a lot of work, but it was fun.
Oh, it looks good. It does look good.
I think we should start selling them.
Absolutely. Although you'd probably want to do something that's a little take down, assembly, so you can mail it to people.
Oh, yeah. Hey, for enough money, we'll drive out there. We'll put it together in-house.
Speaking of things that are difficult, how do we feel about some trivia?
I'm cool with that. I love it.
All right. We got a game time.
I like the little Squid Game guy there.
Thank you. I made that myself.
I'm so proud of that cartoon. Yeah, that little emote thing. He loves it so much. He just made his day for the next 3 podcast episodes. Just, man, we're keeping it.
I want to just push a little bit. Jeremy, how do you feel about doing the trivia tonight? That's his excited face. He's doing trivia.
That's his face when he wakes up knowing that he's going to do something great today.
All right, yeah, I'm running trivia, boys. Let's go. All right, Austin. I'm gonna give you the questions. You're gonna give me the answers, and the crowd is going to be entertained. It's gonna be beautiful.
I hope so.
All right, question number 1: who was the first Gracie to win a UFC title? Hoist, Henner, or Helio?
So I'm gonna say Hoist. Simply because that's who I was under for 20 plus years, but I am also really bad at knowing the ins and outs of this stuff.
All right, we got answer is Hoist, and you are correct. All right, man. Yes, sir. All right, you got one down. What's up with the next one? What was the first company to sponsor the UFC? Was it Planet Fitness, Gold's Gym, or YMCA?
I'm gonna have to go with Gold's because that was in the 90s, and I I feel like a lot of the guys that wear gold shirts, were like young adults during the 90s, and I'm bad at this, but I'm going to say golds.
All right, we got Gold's in final answer, and you are correct. All right, Austin, you got 2 out of 3 so far. We're down to the final. All right. And question number 3, which UFC fighter had the most heel hook finishes during their career?
That's kind of sad.
Polares, Jones, or Penn?
Okay, so BJ Penn was probably one of my favorites growing up, and I know that he was an incredible grappler. I honestly don't know the first name. I'm terrible with UFC fighter names, so I'm gonna say Penn.
Oh, the timer ran out. It was Polares. I'm probably not even butchering it. I am butchering it. I'm probably not even saying it correctly, so that works.
I'm so bad at knowing athlete names. I'm just more focused on like developing and getting good at something than I am concerned about those who are already good at it.
That's fair. I'm starting to get to that point now where, like, man, maybe I'm getting old, but, like, I'm finally starting to see the champions that were coming up when I was in high school starting to go their way out the door now, and I'm having to relearn the roster because I'm like, oh, man, everybody I've been watching for the last 10 years isn't here no more, so I can't imagine what it's like when you've been doing jiu-jitsu for 20-something years and you're like, yeah, you've seen everybody come and go.
Yeah, I pretty much just go back to Marcelo. That's pretty much who I always go back to.
Garcia? Have you been to the New York City gym?
I have not, unfortunately. I'd like to.
You should definitely check it out. I hear a lot of great things. I unfortunately have not had the opportunity either. I've been to Unity, went to 10th Planet, Jiu Libre. I've not been to the Blue Dungeon yet, and I haven't been to Marcelo's yet.
Well, I'm a big fan of the X-Guard game, so I'm always watching his stuff when it comes to that.
I should watch more of his stuff. I can't say I have seen it, but again, I've heard nothing but great things and seen nothing but great athletes come out of there.
Oh yeah.
All right. Do we have Jeremy?
Yes.
We are on an hour and 18 minutes. I'm thinking about closing up the podcast. You have anything else for me?
Was there any questions anybody had?
Yeah, was there any questions in the chat for Austin at all?
Forrest, let's see, hold on. Robert Forrester. I don't know if you're familiar. Robert Forrester.
I love Rob Forrester, yeah. He's a purple belt here at Paducah.
He asked in the comments, and I promised I'd ask this, and I forgot. How would you feel about spending a day with a clone of yourself?
All right, so like, I would first and foremost, I would give that guy a hug because he is stressed out and he puts all of his emotional cup into everybody that walks in the room. And so first, I would probably hug that dude, and then I would probably look at him and say, hey, I'm the only one that understands what you go through on a day-to-day basis. I see you. And that'd probably be enough for me, probably for the rest of my life. And then after a day of that, I don't know, probably kill him.
Gotta get rid of the paradox.
Yeah, I don't really do well with people telling me what to do. And I tend to not delegate anything. So he would just be trying to do everything. Probably in a way that would be exactly like I would do it, but I would see the flaws in it and be like, no, not you, no.
That was the greatest answer to a podcast question we've had in 2 seasons.
Well,
that was some Rick and Morty episode stuff. Like, we could animate that and put it on TV.
Yeah.
All right. Oh man, that was phenomenal. Where can people find more of your great commentary, your great answers, and your great knowledge?
Where can people find more of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I post mostly on my personal Facebook page and stuff like that. But like, if you're in the area, if you're in Murray, Mayfield, the Ballard area, anywhere that's like an hour or less, just come in, just come say hi. I don't push private lessons, anything like that. I think the private lessons are kind of a joke sometimes. So just come in. As long as I'm here, and I'm usually here for 7-8 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have been for a year or more now. I'm an open book. Seriously, like you can ask me anything. You can send me footage on Facebook, and I'll download it, record a commentary over it, and send it back. And I just enjoy it. So, yeah, just definitely Facebook. That's definitely the easiest way to reach out to me. You know, I'm in my post CPAP era, so I'm kind of old. So I'm always on Facebook. I know a lot of you guys are on Instagram, which are connected, but I just don't check it. So I'm bad when it comes to that. But yeah, Facebook for sure. And then if you know anybody in the area, they probably have my number, and you're more than welcome to have it. Just don't harass me because I'm kind of crazy afterwards if you do that. So I'm very nice, but don't mess with me, please. I only have an on-off switch.
I feel that. All right. Guys, without further ado, this has been the Jmurrayathletics podcast. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go check out our store over at the Jmurrayathletics.com. We got merch. I just removed a bunch of merch. So if you guys want something on there, make sure you grab it now before Jeremy tells me to take it off. Him and Dalton are going through for the new year, and we're redoing a lot of things. There's some big things coming you guys can look forward to. So make sure you're liking, you're subscribing, and you're following.
Yeah, and when some new merchandise drops here in the next month, you guys have to go on there and be like, man, Jeremy's really cool and took all this time and effort to like do this. We should buy stuff so he's not using a $20 Bluetooth speaker plugged into a cell phone charger for these podcasts. It'll be great, guys.
Jeremy, I'll fix
it. I'm humoring for the pod, man. I'm humoring, but thank you for real. Thank you again for coming on, for sharing your vision with us a little bit. I've heard about you guys since you came onto the scene. I mean, first thing I remember is going there and even just watching the fights and everything with you guys after, doing the watch parties and everything, seeing how you've grown throughout these different locations and the phenomenal plans you guys have got coming up, man. I cannot wait to see what Apex Combat Academy is doing a year from now. So thank you so much, Austin.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my man. Guys, till next time. Peace.